topic that we want to discuss on the preface is there is a very nice statement here. It says like advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. So Srila Prabhupada every now and then, of course, his purpose and his words are every word is like valuable. But there are some sentences that he gives. There's one-liners that he gives, which is like wow, boom! It's like a jewel that we need to collect and store, and we can guide. They can guide our lives very much. So the advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. And this has various implications, like various meanings. It can be taken in various contexts. But here we are going to see one particular context. So before that, let's take a guess. Those who have not so far got a chance to speak, if you would like to speak, what do you think this statement means? Advancement in Krishna consciousness depends on the attitude of the follower. What attitude? What is that attitude which decides our advancement in Krishna consciousness? Any guess? Any thoughts on this?
Prabhu, the mode of goodness?
The mode of goodness. Interesting.
Meaning to follow the principles?
To follow the principles and coming to mode of goodness, and from there becoming a pure devotee. Yes, makes sense. Any other guesses?
I would say it's like what is our intention behind what we are doing? Because is it like are we worshiping deity to get cities or any yogic powers, or to prove ourselves better than others, or is it actually to just be servants of the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant?
So you are taking that word attitude as an intention.
Yes.
What is your disposition when you're trying to serve? Okay, that's a good like an outlook. Anything else, Mother Indira?
I think I was going to say exactly what she just said. So, what your intention is, or in what way you actually practice Krishna consciousness. So, if you're kind to people, or if you just want to lord it over people, tell them what to do, or if you want to engage them in a loving way instead, like, yeah, so your attitude.
Your attitude. You're mainly taking your disposition in trying to deal with others and service of Krishna. What is your disposition? How you take it? Okay, that's good. First, Mother Olga, and then Rohan.
I think it might also include your understanding of your position in relation to the Lord. So, understanding that you are not the doer, that everything belongs to Krishna, having this disposition of general surrendering to the Lord.
Having understanding who's the doer, that we are actually servants and Krishna is the real doer. So that kind of an disposition is the attitude. So it's good. It's a good outlook. Thank you, Olga. Prabhu Rohan.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. An attitude meaning an attitude of humility and submissiveness.
The hallmark of Vaishnava actually humility and service attitude. Thank you. So that's also a good outlook on this. So let's also, what are the commentaries mentioning? Desire and patience. I think Ananya is saying that how it is desire. What kind of desires and patience? Okay. Yeah. So now let's see, also see from the commentaries what does actually this attitude can also mean. Another way, I would say whatever I'm going to say, the conclusion, it includes pretty much what all of you said, but I'm just going to present it in a more technical terms. It's very much what each and everything that you said is all right, is all perfect, but I'm just going to put it in some technical terms so that it all fits in. Most of what all that you said is going to come in there, from right from mode of goodness till what humility, desire, patience, everything is going to come into that. So we all know that there are three different generic spiritual paths. In general, the Vedic path, there may be many shades, but they're all generally considered into these three categories consolidated: karma, jnana, and bhakti. The yoga school also comes under jnana actually, even though it's predominant, it's by itself is a big school of practice. Still, it comes under jnana. So predominantly there is karma, jnana, and bhakti. If any of you watched the video that I sent on the verse 1, I already discussed this in there, that there are different spiritual practitioners, but they each have a certain kind of attitude. The followers of karma, they actually are more concerned about what they can receive, the fruits of the activities, and they also have a certain doership, as Olga was saying. And the practitioners of jnana, they think, oh, this is all bad. I reject all this. I will not work. Rather, I'll just get out of this world. I'll practice things. I'll do sense control, like Mother Radha was saying, like come to mode of goodness, practice sense control, and do all these. Consider your desires, give up your desires, like Ananya was saying, or practice patience, practice various limbs of yama and niyama, all these things. And there is school of bhakti where, as like either Angelika or Mother Sarah or Rohan, all of them were adding that developing qualities of how surrender, humility, and I'm seeing oneself as a servant of Krishna. So these are the different attitudes that each of these followers have. So specifically when it comes to advancement in Krishna consciousness, we may not be following those paths officially. We may not have subscribed to karma path or jnana path, but we may have those attitudes, even though we are trying to practice bhakti. We may think I'm the doer, or I deserve credits for what I do, or in this way, various things we may have still, even though we are not the we are not the doers, still we will be actually, we might have that kind of an attitude of seeing things from a different perspective. So that is why, even though we are practicing Krishna consciousness, if we really want to advance in Krishna consciousness, then our attitude should be one of surrender. So that's what is being discussed in this book. What should be the attitude of a devotee who understands that he is a servant of Krishna and wants to become a servant of Krishna? What his attitude should be? His attitude should be, I'll accept what is favorable for Krishna consciousness. I'll reject what is unfavorable for Krishna consciousness. I'll accept Krishna as my maintainer. I'll have full faith in him, and I'll be humble. I'll be a humble servant of Krishna. So in this way, the 6 symptoms of surrender he will take up. And the first 2 symptoms of the surrender is accepting what is favorable and rejecting what is unfavorable. So that's what we will be first discussing in this book. Because as soon as we say, this may not be good for Krishna consciousness, but I like it. That means we have not developed that attitude of surrender to Krishna. Okay, this may be something which I love doing, but this is not good for my Krishna consciousness, so I should endeavor to give it up. So that is the attitude of a devotee. So that is what is being recommended here. To develop the attitude of surrender. If it is favorable for Krishna consciousness, I'll accept. If it is not favorable for Krishna consciousness, I'll reject it. So this kind of an attitude to develop is considered as the proper attitude for a devotee, and that's what is being hinted here also. And it's a conscious, favorable regulation of body and mind through dependence on Krishna and his representatives. And also in the path of karma and jnana, people endeavor on their own. They try to control the senses. They also try to control the senses, but they try to control on their own. But the difference in the path of bhakti is we, being dependent on Krishna and his representatives, we endeavor to control our senses. We attempt, but the ultimate control of senses happens by engaging in Krishna's service and by the purification that the senses achieve in contact with Krishna. So it's by Krishna's grace our sense control becomes activated. The attempt we should make, the sincere attempt of trying to be in connection with Krishna, that we have to make. But only by Krishna's power we will be able to overcome the power of the senses. So this is the difference in the approach of a follower of karma, jnana, or a devotee. And this is the attitude of surrender is what is the hallmark of a devotee, and which is what sets them apart from other schools. So, so I think here Mother Nirali is having a question. Can I? Yeah, we can.
Yeah. So I had a question for Jnana.
Mhm.
Is that impersonalism then?
Yeah, predominantly it is impersonalist.
Okay.
It also include Paramatma realization, but in general, it has a tinge of impersonalism.
Okay. One other question too on the idea, of accepting what is unfavorable, or accepting what is favorable and rejecting what is unfavorable. So knowing that, right? So if you can understand that conceptually, but what does it mean when somebody, if you do that, knowing that, but then it's, I guess it would be artificial rejection. I'm trying to think of like an instance where you would do that, but you're maybe not ready to do that. So like you do it in a way that, okay, I'm going to do this, but then you're hankering for it otherwise, I don't know if there's like a term for that or how that.
Practical question. I really appreciate this question. So, if I rightly understand the question is, we know that this is the right principle of accept what is favorable for Krishna consciousness and reject what is unfavorable. I may even attempt to do it, but I may not really be convinced in my heart. The attraction to those things may still exist and it may pull me. So there may be like kind of a tension there. And is that the question actually?
Yeah, that's it. Exactly it.
That is why here we also see on the slide it is written, I reject, but I have to turn my attention to Krishna and say, Krishna, this is becoming difficult for me. I'm trying to reject this for your pleasure. I really means at this point of time, my heart is hankering for it, but I know this is not what you want me to do. So I'm actually rejecting it for your pleasure. Please give me the strength so that it becomes natural for me. So develop that. You give me the higher taste so that I can naturally become detached from this. So that is what is the attitude exactly. You asked a perfect question for me to answer this whole section actually. This is the attitude of a devotee. Even when he is unable, he still does it for the pleasure of Krishna and turns and helplessly raises his hands to Krishna and says, Krishna, I'm not there. I don't have the ability. You please help me. You please give me the higher taste so that I can. And then taking represent the help of the devotees. So this is the attitude. The Gyanis try to do it on their own strength, but we try to do it not by our own strength, but by the strength of Krishna that we receive from Krishna and the devotee association. In that combination, we try to do that. And gradually we will develop the strength, but that's not because of our own greatness.
Can you turn your video off?
Yeah.
So I like that explanation about jnana, you're doing it by your own strength, and in bhakti, you're doing it by the strength of Krishna. Okay, thank you.